Yeah, try to get on live fast as I can as far as the stream. A lot of stuff acting up. But we here. Um First thing I was gonna actually talk about was this Dana White deal that I seen this morning. And it seems like this guy's on the move right now. I'll just say that. Seems like Dana White is definitely on the move. And he's been planning this for a while. So I know a lot of people probably expecting him to just show up in box and do certain things to move on, but I think he's gonna be around for a while the way things are looking right now. I can definitely say that. I'm not surprised by the moves that's actually being made. And then the deal with him and Paramount, I think the Paramount deal for Dana White was, if he gets that deal done after just doing the UFC deal, he's gonna have a lot of options. I'll say that. He stepped in front of a lot of people with this because I going away. They start, yeah, they definitely trying to make a power move. This man has 7.7 billion. He just got for the deal for UFC, and now he's talking about a boxing deal. I don't know how big the boxing deal will be, but if they're giving out money like that, it's gonna be a lot of fighters coming over. And then people are like, "What about the UFC guys? What do they have to do with you?" That's just like me saying right now, well, other boxers ain't getting paid right now. Canelo, but think Canelo cares about that? If another boxer, anybody's getting paid? It's a lot of boxers in boxing right now that's not making a lot of money. But that has nothing to do with Canelo or Dana White or anybody. People trying to group people together. A saying I like to say for years, they try to group up a lot of people. Like the easiest way to try to say everybody bad is if you just group everybody together. If you say, what about this guy too? And what about, oh, well, he's like him too. Well, there ain't no difference. They're all bad. And to be honest with you, from what I've seen, they all been bad for boxing. So it's just another guy, another face coming in uh, that looks like the rest. That's gonna have enough power to make the moves. I mean, it shouldn't have a guy like Dana White come into boxing to force you to work together or Turkey on the Sheik or anybody else. The fact that that goes on is, I think, embarrassing already. But this is why moves like this is able to get made. They're talking about Dana White going to Paramount Plus and CBS. And I can't put the picture up right now, but on Zuffa Boxing, Dana White has, and I put on a thumbnail if y'all seen before you came on here. Dana White had a Zuffa Boxing shirt on when he was doing the press conference for McGregor and Mayweather. So he's been trying to get in the boxing game before the zone. Like he's been trying to get his platform off the ground before the zone was around. Everything that happened from then until now is possibly the reason why he didn't get in. Or he wasn't involved with a lot of things, but he has been involved with some fights though. I think that's the biggest misconception. People say, well, he hasn't been involved with boxing. He actually has been doing boxing fights, actually. What's his name that people just compared to David Benavidez? Kane Sandoval, for some reason. He was on the UFC Fight Pass. It was a regular boxing match. Yeah, so the guy's been around. But it's a lot of different moves being made. 2026, trust me, it's a lot of UFC fighters that just seen, or MMA fighters overall. Guys that's on the other MMA platforms, PFL, they just seen Dana White get 7.7 billion. They like, man, I want some of that money. 7.7 billion. So imagine what he's gonna get for boxing. And that's gonna be more competition, I'm telling you. This is gonna be tougher on a lot of promoters right now. They're talking about what guys can get paid and what they can't get paid. And I'm gonna tell you something else too, because that promoters are speaking on, and fans and everyone else, they're speaking on what Dana White will be paying the fighters. This is why everyone right now is complaining about money when it comes out there. Why they're not offering? Right now, we have discussions about Ennis paying guys a certain amount of money right now. Now, this was Dana White, not Ennis. He's not in charge of that, but Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn. Let me take that back. Eddie Hearn. He's paying certain fighters certain amounts of money right now to go against bigger names, and it's UFC type of money. The same stuff you would pay for a UFC main event. That's what you're paying a lot of these guys on these other cards. So I'm really confused as far as the money thing. I'm pretty sure Dana White, if anybody has money long enough to pay a boxer, it's Dana White, trust me. That's not something. The reason that it's even a conversation is because they have no other conversation. The only thing that people can grab on to is, well, yeah, guys at UFC complain about the pay. Man, they complain about the pay in all industries. You can't name me one industry in the world, any sport. It can be soccer, NBA. It's always a guy that feel like getting overpaid, guys getting underpaid. And we're talking about superstars, guys that's making the sport happen, or in the industry, or somebody's in a movie. That's always not getting paid the most. You understand what I'm saying? A lot of people, they help create these platforms, but they're not getting paid like a Canelo or anybody else. So it's only a couple of guys you really got to pay if you're gonna go out your way like that. But most of the guys that people want to see right now getting the fights right now, they're not 30, 40, $50 million guys. So Paramount, I'm pretty sure they know that, and they know the finances and everything around it, but they have enough money. They got to say, in UFC, they know the finances behind it is making money. Paramount is not going to sign a deal with Dana White for 7.7 billion if this man ain't bringing in the money that he needs to. It's a lot of confidence in him right now. And to be honest with you, the last couple of events that Dana White had at UFC and ESPN, they were bad, man. It looked like ESPN was just throwing them up there. Like, okay, we need to do something better. So ESPN wasn't just, oh, we're tired of boxing. They're not doing MMA or boxing right now unless it's I think PFL still over there. Yeah, PFL is still over there, but how long though? They got their schedule for 2025, but let's see what they do in 2026. They're having a fight in Dubai this weekend. PFL is on ESPN. So that's really the only combat sport I see right now that's even involved with that stuff. Yeah, they used to have UFC, PFL, and Bellator on ESPN, but it look like ESPN moving away from the combat sports. And I can understand. It's basically not an app that UFC not trying to really. I mean, not UFC, but ESPN. They're not really trying to lose out on NFL and other bigger platforms and bigger, just platforms that they and everyone else comes over behind the NFL. Ain't nobody gonna be coming to ESPN trying to check for no UFC and boxing. Let's be real. Yeah, they having a hard time checking for it now. So this is actually a power move. I'm gonna be honest, and it seems like he hasn't been giving a good chance to get things started as far as Dana White. Because when the zone started, the zone was horrible when it first started. The zone was horrible. The zone was given a lot of chances to be successful. And just recently is when we just started seeing a lot of those fights be successful. But it was fights like Kambosos and Teofimo Lopez. That's not a $50 million fight, like people are expecting. So trust me, the expectations are getting higher probably because this guy's showing up, but it hasn't been too many high expectations outside of Turkey Al-Sheikh in the sport of boxing. And I'll tell you something else too. Didn't Gervonta Davis fight on the McGregor Mayweather fight card? That was a girl that hey, you need to watch out for this Tank guy. This guy's pretty good. I think he the next one. And I was already watching Devin Haney by then. I was like, yeah, you need to watch this Tank guy, man. He a beast. I think he had missed weight or something around that time. I'm not too sure. I forgot. But I think he had missed weight around that time. So this kind of goes into my video. So I think he missed weight around that time. So he was missing weight back then. That means move up, right? But Tank was fighting on Dana White's card back then with the McGregor and Mayweather, that card. And ever since then, Tank Davis was a star. Right? But that's really when Dana White was trying to get boxing off the ground. He tried to do it again, but it was blocked, to be honest with you. He tried to do it again, but it was blocked. Yeah, he had lost his belt on the scale, yeah. So yeah, Tank was that was supposed to be his, debut night. But if you go back, because people said, man, this Canelo and Crawford undercard is horrible. Bro, these dudes don't know boxing, bro. I'm gonna tell you why they don't know boxing. I'm gonna name the names on the undercard of the Mayweather. Now, this was almost 10 years ago. Okay? Almost 10 years ago. They had Savannah Marshall make her debut. Nobody knew who she was. Kevin Newman II was on there with Marcos Hernandez. I know who those guys were, but people didn't know who they were. Andrew Taviti was on there with Steve Cunningham. I know who those guys are. are, but most fans back then didn't know who they were. If anybody said, yeah, I knew who they were, how did you know who they were, but you didn't know who Tank was? And then Ugas fought Thomas Delorme. And Gervonta Davis versus Francisco Fonseca. And Cleverly versus Badu Jack. Those are not good fights, bro. Those are not good fights. Don't nobody go back and watch those fights and be like, hey, let me go back and watch Tabiti versus Cunningham. They go back and watch Tank versus Fonseca, but Tank lost his belt that night. So, but if you look at the fight card, because I heard people say, man, this undercard is weak. Bruh, this undercard wasn't like that. When nobody coming, man, you got to realize, Ugas had just beat Pacquiao recently, right? Yeah, beat Pacquiao. Then he fought Spence. It wasn't a lot of hype around him versus Barrios. I thought it was a very big fight leading up to it, but it wasn't a lot of hype leading up to that fight. And that's a bigger fight than Delorme versus Ugas. So yeah, no, that doesn't work. Steve Cunningham actually fought Tyson Fury and dropped him. Fought Tyson Fury, dropped him in the ring. And he fought Tyson Fury and this was before he fought Andrew Tabiti. He had already went in there and dropped Tyson Fury in the ring. Then nobody know who Tyson Fury was around this time. Everybody talking about Tyson Fury beat Klitschko. You still didn't know. And dropped Tyson Fury, one of the only guys in this in boxing at that time to drop Tyson Fury. And nobody knew who he was. And he was on the McGregor undercard. So really, the boxing reporting has been trash ever since then. Like, how would you have a whole card like this? Because people will say, that's some good names. Okay, well, those names weren't reported as great names around that time. On that card. Matter of fact, Tank wasn't even promoted like that before that. Not like how you see a Moses Atama being promoted this weekend. He's only 20 years old. So yeah, that was the only name you really seen. So that's the equivalent of throwing a Fernando Vargas Jr. up there. Not saying that he's the talent like that, but y'all didn't know who he was. Tank was when he got up there. So I don't really see. I see the undercard. People saying, "What the undercard track?" Bro, they got like 20 fights. They finna name. People are looking at one fight. They finna have like 20 fights. They were finna have Miller versus Anderson. You know, it's not Turkey's fault that these promoters out here still blocking fights. I told people they've been doing that. Promoters out here blocking fights right now. People are like, why are they ducking? Bruh, promoters blocking fights. People are talking about why guys is ducking. And they got promoters out here blocking fights. Still money hungry. Fighting over $5. I mean, if you want to, my thing is, and I've seen this too, because boxing be on some nasty stuff. I've seen them block a fight, then give a fighter a fight after that, just so he won't be mad that they blocked the fight. But they blocked it. Then he ain't gonna get in the ring no more after that. So you blocked the fight that he made on his own. Then you go get him another fight. And then he on the shelf after that for 2 years. Happens all the time, man. But yeah, if you look at these names, people ain't checking for Ugas right now. Tabiti fought Justice Uni. I said that was a great fight. The same Justice Uni that fought Wardley recently. Ain't nobody checked for that fight. I think that fight was like in Mexico or something. I don't know why. But nobody checked for that fight. Marcus Hernandez is one of the best journeymen in the game. got one of the best resumes. Not really a journeyman for real, just got a lot of tough fights. He got one of the toughest resumes in the last 6 years probably in boxing. They don't know who he is though. So yeah, you got a lot of names to me on here: Delorme, Ugas, Fonseca, but Fonseca just fought last weekend. Ain't nobody checking for him, bro. That's why. That's how I'm looking at it. There's nobody really checking. Those names was on McGregor and Mayweather. And as a total, those are names I like. But boxing fans who just tuning in and saying that undercards is trash, yeah, they know a lot of these names, so it will be. They'll say, yeah, I like those, but nah. Back then, they ain't know who these people were. They ain't even know who Tank was. So you gotta think about that. You gotta get introduced to somebody eventually. They've been doing that for years on boxing cards. A lot of these mega fight cards ain't like how Turkey Al-Sheikh has had these cards recently. Just hasn't been like that. But yeah, they're putting people in the ring that people want to see though. It's been names that guys been bringing up, and they try to put Anderson in there. We saw what happened. Try to put Michael Hunter in there. We seen what happened. But we'll see what changes in the future. But at 47, man, I actually see a lot of talk around Tank for a while now about him being at 147 and what he'll actually do at the division. And I think Tank is actually going to be going to 147 eventually. I just feel that way. I think he's going to 47. It's too much talk around 47 for me when it comes to him. Too much talk about 47. Too much. It ain't no talk about 140. We got more talks about fights at 140 with Shakur than we do with Tank. Gary Russell at 35. They asking Roach to fight Gary Russell. They want Lamont Roach to fight people that we want to take. I want to take to fight Gary Russell all these years. Now people talking about Lamont Roach to fight. We got asking Lamont Roach to fight Gary Russell, his rival to Tank Davis, besides Devin Haney. But they want Lamont Roach to get in the ring with Gary Russell. Man, come on, man. You gonna get Lamont Roach to fight to a guy that been going at Tank Davis because he said a couple of words to Roach? They don't want Tank at 47, bro. Tank ain't finna be. They don't want Tank at 35. He gonna be at 47. They ain't talking about no fights with Tank at 140 or 35. And he ain't finna be cutting that weight like that. People talking about he 35. He ain't that big, bro. He cutting weight just like everybody else is. If you think, let's be real. That's definitely not going. If he was walking around 35, he'd be fighting 3 or 4 times a year. If that was the case, he better. I'm telling you, he better do something at 35 soon. Because what he's doing is he's letting a lot of guys get a lot of hype around their name, and they're getting experience and getting better. And now you're starting to be talked about with the same kind of guys like Dylan Mason and Dylan Mason and Floyd Schofield, these other guys. He's letting everybody catch up. That's what everybody don't realize. It used to be a lot of, well, Tank do this, he knock guys out. Man, it's everybody knocking people out. Ain't nobody knocking nobody out like Brian Norman right now. If your name ain't Brian Norman, you ain't knocking nobody out like that. Everybody get knockouts in boxing. It's boxing. But if you're not Brian Norman, I'm not impressed by no knockout. So what? Tank knock guys out? Okay. All right. What now? That's what I always said. Like, what now, bro? Like, okay, he getting knockouts, but what now? going toe to toe with Roach. Then we have people. They better figure out who this man can actually compete with. Talking about he'll beat Terrence Crawford, that ain't finna get him nowhere. That's actually got him in a lot of trouble recently. We ain't comparing guys who's bigger than Tank to Terrence Crawford. They talking about Tank can beat him now. Then they talking about the Barrios thing. Barrios at 47, right? Tank better than Barrios, right? Okay, Tank can do something at 47 then. They already saying Pacquiao fight. Conor Ben. I know he's gonna try to hold on to the Haney situation for as long as he can. People will think that he'll just move on from that, but no, he's not gonna move on to it. I mean, away from it. That conversation always has to keep coming up. They don't mention Haney with Tank no more because Haney got a fight lined up with Norman. But right now, Haney's taking a way tougher fight than Tank's taking or ever taken. What fight has Tank taken that's tougher than that? So yeah, he's not really taking no challenges at 135, whereas he's risking everything. He's risking everything with these fights he thought he would be winning with like Roach and stuff, and it's backfiring. And it's not really no push for him to fight anybody, to be honest with you. I feel like a lot of people just waiting around and trying to see what he's doing. And that's the worst thing that's going to happen for him. There's too many people waiting around to see what he's going to do. But you're putting pressure on all these other fighters to get better. That's crazy. How you want a fighter who's not your favorite fighter to get better. They out here like, man, Haney need to do this, Haney need to do that. And this dude's doing it, and he's getting better. And he's in one of the biggest fights in boxing. And him and Norman finna have a big name after this fight. And the fight gonna be more hyped up than Roach versus Tank Davis. And Tank Davis is considered a bigger name. Even right now, what's a bigger fight? Tank Davis versus Roach? Because dudes did more live streams about Haney versus Norman than they have about Roach versus Tank rematch. Ain't nobody doing no live streams about no Roach versus Tank rematch. I'm being real with y'all. They don't even want Roach to box no more. If Roach say he gonna retire today, everybody celebrate. Bro, nobody sees the value in fighting Tank Davis no more. I'm about to keep it 100. Nobody sees the value in fighting Tank no more. If Roach ain't gonna get credit for having a draw with Tank Davis, it ain't no reason to fight him. No reason at all. You see, nobody's calling him out no more. Y'all did this to yourself. Nobody's calling out Tank Davis no more. No boxers are going to call out Tank Davis. They have moved on. They just gonna kick the can around. What they've done because they trying to win an argument. Bro, ain't nobody getting no value for what Lamont Roach got for beating Tank. What credit he got for not beating? Well, he did beat Tank in my eyes. I'm always say he beat Tank. But what credit he got for that draw? Because everybody believe in the judges now. What credit he got for that draw? Lamont Roach. He ain't getting no credit. Ain't nobody trying to fight Tank no more, man. The day is over with. Ain't nobody trying to run behind another man to make sure, hey, man, I can get my check. You can get your check on your own these days. There's enough promoters around. You ain't got to chase no boxer around and get no check. See, people today is where you got to chase Canelo on their name instead of going to a promoter like Turkey and be like, hey, man, I want to fight this top 5 guy. Well, I'll pay you for that. But you got guys turning down fights and they promoters. And you got the guys that's being talked about the most. And you know why they talk bad about Haney and Crawford and all these guys, or even Wilder, or because these guys always fighting. The rest of these guys retiring. They at the house. They chilling. They taking 2 years off. They taking a year off and they ain't even lost a fight yet. You got the Keyshawn taking a year off. They talking about Tank about to take a year off because they ain't even lose a fight. How you ain't lose a fight? You about to take a year off. How you gonna? How you? I just don't understand that. But guys is taking a year off though to chill and whatever they're gonna do. But we seeing right now who want to smoke. Same guys who fighting back then fighting right now. Point them out, I'll fight them. But guys don't see the value in fighting the Tank Davis no more. You're not finna get credit for that. You're gonna be treated just like them guys who beat Mike Tyson. They're gonna be like, oh man, he a one-hit wonder. He just got lucky. They say Roach got lucky. He was in the ring for Tank for 36 minutes. They say he got lucky. So yeah, guys don't see the value in fighting him. I'm just keep it real with y'all. For all y'all that's out there thinking that people are daydreaming about a Tank fight. No, not really. They seen how Roach is getting done. They like, oh, this is probably the problem right here then. If I just disassociate myself away from Tank, I won't have all this negative feedback around me 24/7. I won't have guys say I'm ducking a fight that's not available. I'm ducking a guy whose issues going on or this or that or was in jail. Or dude got all that going on, but you ducking. Don't nobody want to be associated with that. It's bad for your brand to be associated with a Tank Davis at this point. It's bad for your brand, bro. Because nobody can stand next to him and be like, oh, well, y'all, you know, they're not going to say nobody's on the same level as him. So it's bad for your brand. It's better to just be like, yeah, man, he's just doing his own thing. I'm at 47. He at 35. To make it seem like y'all on an even playing field, nah, they're not going to do it. Even in a draw, they're going to say he's better than you. So, yeah, a lot of the boxing promoters and stuff behind, they ain't searching for a Tank fight like y'all think, man. They see what time it is. You'll get more credit jumping in the ring with Devin Haney than you would Tank Davis at this point. You really would. And that's just real talk. It would do more for your career at this point. And you'll be more talked about. But you fight Tank right now and get a draw, yeah, they're going to go after you. Dude's talking about fighting Gary Russell. And man, look, they done made Tank Davis rival the go-to guy now. So now Gary Russell is good enough to fight a guy who got a draw with Tank. When he was talking about fighting Pitbull and everything, people were like, nah. They forgot that Gary Russell was talking about fighting Pitbull. And they're both fighting on PBC. They forgot he was fighting he called out Pitbull, all these guys a long time ago. Yeah, that's always happened. I think he even called out a fight where he said he wanted to fight Roach a long time ago. I think people didn't hear it though. Andre Ward, he's called out Anthony Joshua before. What's up, Joseph Bailey? What's up, dog? Shout out my dog Joseph Bailey, man. But yeah, man, listen, Tank best years. You got people scared to fight him. They don't think they're gonna get credit. Hey man, I'm telling y'all right now. They didn't hurt that man's career for real. People will think it's booming like that, but it ain't booming like that. It definitely ain't booming like that. It ain't booming like that right now. I just don't. I think that the reason why they did the Ryan Garcia and Tank fight early, they felt like one of those was gonna lose early. That's why. They waited to do a Terrence Crawford versus Canelo fight when Terrence Crawford almost 40 because they know what time it is. They knew he was gonna be undefeated. But defeated. Fool him carefully. Don't let these people fool you. They moving him very carefully. It look like Keyshawn on that type of time too. Because I don't know what he taking all time for right now. For what? This dude the same age as Devin Haney. Why he taking all time? It's sad, bro. All these dudes was trolling other fighters, and then Turkey on the sheet show up, then everybody like, man, I can't fight him. No, you got dudes going to work right now. And y'all turn down millions of dollars when the opportunity presents itself, and you've been telling everybody else that guys is ducking. Oh, Brian Norman should have took that 1.7. Why everybody else ain't taking 1.7? Why is guys turning down $11 million? Forget 1.7. Why dudes turn down $11 million? Different strokes for different folks, man. Different strokes. It ain't helping though. Watch they try to hold this man. Hey, watch they try to hold Tank Davis accountable at the end of his career. And I'm gonna be sitting here quiet because I'm gonna be like, I already said all this. Just like how they saying about Boots right now. Man, why Boots taking these tune-ups, man? Boots out here taking these tune-ups, man. He a tune-up. What they call him? Tune-up god? He a tune-up god, man. Why he? These the same dudes that said Crawford was ducking. You see how they mess up people's reputations over a lie? But they'll get on here and call everybody else a hater though. To say Terrence Crawford was ducking Boots is the most hatingest-ish I ever heard in my life. To say he's ducking Boots. But now you got everybody who said Terrence Crawford. You see how they be doing, bro? I want y'all to see how they be doing. Terrence Crawford is. Oh, he ducking Boots. Oh, he need to give Boots a chance. Now Boots got all the opportunities right to him. Oh, man, Boots taking tune-ups. That's, if you want to know, that's sucker stuff. That's a sucker. That's a hater. You was a Boots super fan 5 minutes ago. Now all of a sudden, and you was hating on Crawford. Now all of a sudden, oh man, Boots ain't trying to fight nobody. These dudes don't know what they talking about. I'm telling y'all that right now. Have y'all ever seen me do something like that? Have y'all ever seen me say, man, Boots finna fight everybody. He finna fight Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford ducking, Spence duck, all these guys. Then I turn around and say, man, Boots is trash, man. He taking all these tune-ups. I ain't said nothing because I've been saying the same thing. I ain't finna change what I'm saying. I ain't finna change what I'm saying about Tank. I ain't finna change what I'm saying about Deron Ennis, Keyshawn. I put a video out last year saying that Keyshawn was going crazy. I said, bro, he tripping. Somebody need to get a hold of this dude. This was like around the Lemos fight. I said, bro, somebody gotta get a hold of this dude. He all over the place. All over the place. If I could see that from where I'm at, but man, I don't know. People just want to, they sitting there and watch. You can't tell another what to do, but if you're gonna be around somebody, if you're gonna watch a car wreck, I mean, you might as well stand on the highway. Because these guys ain't getting no value no more. We ain't getting value fighting other black fighters. So black fighters ain't getting value fighting other black fighters now. We ain't getting credit for that. So that's what Lamont Roach get. So Lamont Roach get disrespect from black fans when they have a black fighter fight another black fighter. Now we getting disrespect from black fans. And the first thing these same fans will say, "Oh, man, they don't do it like the Mexicans." Absolutely, because you dudes is crying over a draw like it's a loss. Then gave Tyson Fury credit for doing less than what Tank did. Yeah, y'all guys don't know what y'all talking about. Gave Tyson Fury credit for getting dropped twice against Wilder. Then go out here and say, "Yeah, Tank won that draw." Tank did the same thing Wilder did, but he won the draw. He won that fight against Roach. That was a draw. He ain't knocked Roach down twice or nothing. If Tank Davis would have knocked down Roach twice, they would have said Tank Davis won. Blowout. These folks don't know how to score fights, man. It's okay to say you don't know. I mean, I say it all the time. But when I know, I'm going to act like I know. Oh, man, they got some good stuff on here. Yeah, but I'm going to act like I know, though. It's a lot of people that don't know and acting like, yeah, well, people just hating. Bro, quit worrying about the people and worry about the business. The people is hurting their own fighter. That's why fans need to be held accountable because, bro, you're really hurting your own fighter like this. All these ghost stories you're telling, like it's just a horror movie that he living in and everybody trying to make it a nightmare for him. Nah. How you got a blank check and you going through hard times? Man, in boxing, people have their limitations, and let's let the best fighters fight the best and compete against the best. You know, I don't feel comfortable hearing undisputed fighters get called pillow fist or snack this or it's just a lot of complaints about undisputed fighters. That's not from Ukraine. It's just a lot of complaints about undisputed fighters in America. Why does undisputed fighters in America why does Jamel Charlo get more passes than a Devin Haney or a Terrence Crawford? When is the culture going to change in America? Do y'all realize that? These dudes nut hugging so hard that they give Jamel Charlo more credit than Terrence Crawford still right now. When it comes to Canelo, the build-up, going into the fight, Jamel Charlo ain't get disrespected like this. And dude had possibly already lost 2 fights already. People thought he lost that Canelo right after the fight in the locker room and said, you beat Jamel Charlo. Do people not remember that? Canelo didn't even respect Jamel Charlo. Canelo like, man, you lost. You lost to Brian Castano. I ain't hear no experts out here like, man, Canelo wrong, man. They like, you lost. But yeah, they'll understand eventually that in the sport of boxing, favoritism gonna always be there. But when I was growing up, dudes was being realistic. This stuff that's going on right now it's past just supporting somebody. We got Muhammad Ali's walking around, and people don't got resumes like that. I don't care if you got 2 or 3 names. Muhammad Ali got his whole resume got names on it. People got 1 or 2 good fights, and they're like, yeah, well, this guy fought. Man, who cares? He's supposed to fight that guy. We're in professional boxing. You should not be in professional boxing if somebody has to ask you to fight the best. Shouldn't happen. But moving on to this Canelo subject, I wanted to talk about before I get off of here. Because I'm gonna dive into this a lot more over time. But I told you I'm keep bringing this dude up, no matter what, because people out here, they already gonna try to move around this. But when it comes to the weight stuff, bruh, Canelo name should not be brought up when it comes to weight no more in life. Like, dude has technically, if you can see the picture, he's already been at 170. Since 2014 on record. So on record, Canelo has been at 170. His weight 170. And that's not allegedly either. See if I can add this real quick. Put the date in there. Now, Canelo was at 171 versus Lara, July 12th, 2014. What's going on, John? I'm gonna be honest with you, John. I'm gonna be real with you. I know this is gonna sound crazy. I'm gonna be real with you. I think he's gonna fight Virgil, but as far as Boots, man, to be honest with you, 154 so deep, I don't even care. I was talking about that earlier. After the Brian Norman fight last year, because I wanted Brian Norman and Boots to fight last year. But after people had made the excuses up about Brian Norman being a duck and him not accepting the 1.7, after that, I didn't really care about who Boots fought because Boots ain't fought nobody. Like, everything that people were saying now about Boots fighting the Lima guy, I have already said, because if you look at it, he hasn't fought nobody we actually requested yet. The person we was interested in was Brian Norman, but we ended up getting Stanionis. But we're gonna get Vertaillez guy might still available. I don't know as far as that. That'll be all over the place. They'll be fighting for 2 interim belts, so I don't understand that. Him fighting for 2 interim belts, I wouldn't understand that. But hopefully he fights Virgil Ortiz. I think that would help. I mean, if he fought Zayez, anybody at 54, really. Shoot, he could have fought Conwell. It's a lot of names. Ramos was out there. It's a lot of names Boots could have fought. But people were so focused on Terrence Crawford, and then they threw the blame on Brian Norman. But I think what people realize now is them not giving Brian Norman an extra $500,000 and putting the fight in Vegas was the biggest mistake ever made. Because people said Brian Norman wasn't worth $2 million. So I don't the promoters that Boots, like, we got to see who he values. But I have no interest in seeing Boots fight anybody, though. Not to say that I don't want to see him fight nobody, but I'm kind of a little older now, so I'm not really most fights, I got experience now, so most fights that get hyped up and stuff, they usually don't even happen, or we never even get around to them. So usually I just go with the flow on a lot of things these days. And we have a lot more bigger fights than we've had in the last 20 years. Back to back. That kind of keeps me distracted, like the fights is coming on this weekend. But as far as with Boots, I think they're going to try to just hold him out as long as they can, because not only is Boots, because people feel like, well, Boots is being held back because he don't want to fight nobody. I think the sport of boxing wants to hold him back. even more than what he wants to be held back. The way I look at it. Because technically Boots was supposed to already be fighting guys like Spence years ago. So I really don't know what the move is. I don't know if he's going to do anything next year. If that answers your question. Shout out to John though. But yeah, I don't really have any interest in certain guys, honest with you, because it never pans out. Well, what was I saying about the Canelo thing though? I was saying before that. Oh yeah, I was saying something before about the Canelo thing. Yeah, but Canelo is at his weight is at 171 against Lara. 171. And that was 2014. But that's just, I'm gonna give anybody a lesson too. If y'all got a YouTube channel there, please stay away from American news where it's like a Boots or Gervonta Davis. Just stay away from that kind of news, because legit news around them guys ain't it. That's why a lot of people trying to figure out who they fighting right now. Legit news around them is not it, bro. It ain't popping right now. It'll probably start popping when they retire, but it ain't popping right now. Got to remember that. It ain't too much real news coming out right now in the boxing world. That's why we got to tell this Lara thing. Right? That's why I got to sit up here and talk about Canelo's weight from 10 years ago. Sad, man. Canelo's weight was 171 against Lara. 2014. So if anybody wants to know, because I hear people talk about weight bullies. If anybody wants to know, how much this dude weighed 10 years ago, how much you think he weighing now? And Canelo was what, 24? 23? Like 23, 24? 171. Do people understand this? So when they say, oh, Canelo's too big for Crawford, this is what they mean right here. That's exactly what they mean. So all that PED stuff they talking about, shoot, this is a PED right here. What kind of advantage is that? Allegedly. What kind of advantage is that? You think they gonna talk? You think anybody gonna run around and talk about this? No, they not. That snack stuff they talking about, that's fake news. Come on, man. Stu walking around 171 against Lara. Stu was heavier than Lara. Scott was heavier than Lara. Now, mind you, when Devin Haney, they said when Devin Haney weighed heavy against Regis Program, what they said about that situation. Scott's been heavy. So for everybody trying to make it seem like he's been a smaller guy his whole career, the dude was bigger than Lara when he fought Lara. Think about that. History tells you that Canelo has always been a smaller guy, blah, blah, blah. That has been a lie the last 10 years. Do you know that they know that's a lie, right? They know that's a lie. That's crazy, man. 171. Okay, man. Man, when we turn the page on some of these guys, bro, I'm gonna be so happy. Man, this crap starting to get old. 171, bro. 10 years ago. But they know what Benavidez weigh now and last year, the year before that. It's not a face of boxing, man. Benavidez is more of a face of boxing. If you know how much Benavidez has weighed his last 3 or 4 fights, even after he weighed in or he carried 195, 200, whatever they was talking about. 190 this. What you don't know about this? It's a red flag. They go out of their way to find out how much Benavidez weighs, but the face of boxing, they don't know how much he weighs. And it's all over the internet. Canelo has information all over the internet. People do not know anything. Canelo Alvarez, they don't care about his background. They don't care about his history, his legacy, what he's come from, what his all-time resume is, who is his best fight, his toughest opponent. Shoot, when it's all said and done, Canelo gonna get more credit for fighting Jermell Charlo than Golovkin. Y'all don't even know that. In 50 years, they gonna say, "Oh, he fought Jermell Charlo. He was undisputed." He gonna get more credit for fighting Charlo than he will Golovkin. Because they gonna look at Golovkin's resume, they gonna say, that's the best guy. That resume. But 147 is crazy though. It's definitely crazy. But you know, that's the name of the game though, man. You know how things are in boxing. But you gotta call it out. You definitely gotta call it out. See, everybody else, what they're gonna do in boxing, that's fine and everything else. But what I'm doing over here, they ain't gonna like it. That's why I have a hard time putting out information, because it's just certain things that you talk about. They don't want me to say certain things. Trust me. They don't want me getting on here saying certain things. And this is simple right here. So that's why I'm like, nah, I keep it simple these days. I don't really try to do too much. But yeah, I hope Crawford don't run into a situation like Lara, man, because the way things looking right now, the man might be on his own right now. When it comes to going into that ring and any kind of help that people are talking about he's gonna have going into this fight, or he's turkey fighter, that don't mean nothing when you fighting a guy who been 170 for 10 years already. This dude been 170 for 10 years. He's fighting a light heavyweight. This dude ain't fighting no super middleweight. He's fighting a light heavyweight. That's why I was wondering recently, like, man, why Canelo look smaller? That's because he draining himself down to make weight. That's why I told people recently, the dude fighting at 168 because he don't want to cut that weight no more. He wants to be closer to his natural weight. They try to make it seem like, oh, he's going to 168 because he's challenging himself. No, Crawford's challenging himself. This dude's fighting at his walking around weight. Yeah, shout out to John too, man. Shout out to you, John. Appreciate you for coming through this morning. Yeah, bro. People don't know it, man. I'm a huge Boots fan. But when they tried to compare him and Terrence Crawford, for some reason, most people got mad because they're a Terrence Crawford fan. But I've been following Boots for at least 10 years. But that ain't it, man. To be trying to clout chase off Terrence Crawford. Not clout chase, but because he should feel like he's on the same level. But when I seen Boots talking about some Terrence Crawford, he probably need a tune-up. I told y'all, he said, I got on here. John probably heard me, John, Joseph, Bailey, all you guys out there. I said on a live recently, that Boots, when he said, oh, Terrence Crawford that's his mentality. His mentality is, oh, before I go into a Canelo fight, I'm gonna need a tune-up. But what that brother don't understand, ain't no Canelo finna wait on you to get no tune-up. That's a different kind of mindset. This man will get a Canelo fight and be like, hold on, Canelo, I need a tune-up real quick. Bruh, different kind of mindset. You ain't there yet. You need that killer instinct. You ain't got it yet. That's the thing with Boots. He ain't got that killer instinct yet. Terrence Crawford don't turn down no fights. He don't say no, wait, hold up. You ain't never heard nobody say, Terrence Crawford say, well, this dude asked for $500K. I ain't finna make it happen. None of that. There's too much noise going around these new guys. If you want to be compared to Terrence Crawford, brother, quit talking, quit having your negotiations so loud. For some reason, Tank ain't talking that much. Ennis ain't talking that much, but Ennis negotiations is loud all over the place. Then the Brian Norman thing, they try to use that to make Brian Norman the youngest champion in boxing. Before he was a champion, now he's the youngest champion in boxing. He's a guy that Boots been sparring the youngest champion in boxing. That's a credit to Boots. But nah, we're gonna discredit Brian Norman. He trash. So everybody trash now? Nah, we ain't doing that. So if everybody trash, people can say he trash. If anybody say Boots trash, I ain't got nothing to say. Because that's their opinion. They think he trash, they think he a duck, they think he a duck. I can't say nothing about that. If they think he's a bum, he's a duck, I can't say nothing about it. Because everybody said the same thing about Norman. Everything they said about Norman last year, they're gonna say about Boots this year. That's the karma in boxing. And Boots gonna say, man, these guys hating, the truth need to come out. The truth should have came out last year, and you should have took that deal with Brian Norman Jr. If you would have fought Brian Norman Jr., the pressure of you fighting Virgil would have been off. People would have waited on you to fight Virgil next year. And if you asking me, I would have caught Brian Norman early. But now when you see people come out and say, oh, Brian Norman, like Tank just gave Brian Norman credit. All those Tank fans seen Brian Norman get credit from Tank, then they were like, oh, well, I got Brian Norman. That's what a lot of dudes seen. It's a lot of flip-flopping going on. As y'all notice, I've always said that Brian Norman was going to be that guy. I ain't sit up here and say, he ducking Boots because he asked for 1.7 and 1.5. And what have you done? So people didn't even know how good Brian Norman was around that time. Think about that. So really, it's about where you from. I heard because of where Brian Norman from, he trash. Because he from Atlanta, he trash. I don't know if everybody know it or not, but most of the talent in the NBA, NFL, boxing, baseball is from Atlanta. Sorry to tell y'all. Television shows, music. Yeah. The little cities y'all from, you ain't got nothing going on for real. I don't know why that even be a talk in Boston. People be talking about New York and California and Chicago and Texas and all these other places. Bro, why does that matter in boxing? Every time I be hearing Brian Norman, look where you from. He ain't got no people checking it out. Who cares? So what? You know what I'm saying? Let me try to regroup, get my connection back. Restream always got some connection issues going on. That's why I don't be using them sometimes. These little platforms be working together to mess up my streams for some reason. But yeah, Boots, man, he could have been made some moves, bro. You got way too much. He's had. You got to look at the promoters at the managers he's had. He had Cameron Duncan, who had the same manager as Terrence Crawford. Then he has Eddie Hearn right now. Bro, you done work with just about everybody. So he's in a perfect position. If you say, hey man, I just trying to make some money right now, get myself together. Because a lot of guys early in their career, they do make their little money first, doing certain fights. He did get a late start. You know, I can be realistic about the situation. Boots did get a late start. He didn't really get a lot. Even the guy that he fought, what was his name, Custio Clayton, he had said that a lot of guys didn't want to fight Jerron Ennis. He said this. He said, I fought you because nobody else wanted to fight you. He said, nobody want to fight you. That's the first time I heard a boxer say that. He said that to the Jerron Ennis in the ring. He's like, man, nobody else want to fight you. So when you see guys asking for $500K and everything else, yeah, you can see why it's hard for Boots to get a fight. It's definitely guys out there, people being greedy, trying to get a good payday with him. But I don't understand that, because then some people was getting fights against Crawford. So that's the only thing I can actually agree with Boots on, is that people are getting paid more money. They're trying to get paid more money to fight Boots. But you gotta think about it though. The dude gave, and I'm gonna say this one more. I'm gonna say this, and people look past this. I did a video on it the day that Boots fought Stanionis. I did a live on it. I said, why is this man giving Stanionis all this money that he could have gave Brian Norman? Doesn't make sense. And the fight was not in Philadelphia. People don't even know Stanionis had the same. He asked for the same things that Brian Norman asked for. Let's fight out of Philly, make it $2 million or more, and we good. Stanionis said the same thing. Brian Norman Sr. came out, he was going back and forth with Bozy, Ennis, and everybody. Stanionis around that time went on the Boxing Voice and was like, yeah, that's what I want. I want the same deal that Brian Norman's asking for. I came out and made a video that same day. I said, hey, everybody, Stanionis wants a deal for Brian Norman. I mean, he wants a deal. What day did I put that video up so I can look it up? I made that many Stanionis videos. Stanionis. October. It had to be October. It was September. Oh, it was September 3rd. This was September. I would take that deal. And when I seen that, and I'm a Jerron Ennis fan, I'm telling y'all. But I'm telling you, I said, bro, that's a duck, bro. It is. If nothing else is a duck, that's a duck. You can't give that man the same deal that Brian Norman asked for. That's what I seen right then. Oh, Brian Norman threat. I said he a threat. I don't gotta see him. That was before he knocked down Stanionis. I said he a threat, bro. I already see it. And dudes came over, man, what you think about the Brian Norman not taking the deal? Nothing. That's what I think. I don't think nothing of it. I think he's nothing. I don't think either guy's ducking, but if he's not taking a deal, no. But when you go over there and give Stanionis a deal that Brian Norman asked for, and he has a belt just like him, come on now. Oh, I'm tripping. I'm getting a date mixed up. Brian Norman already had a belt. I'm tripping. I'm thinking about 2023, y'all. I'm just thinking about when I started the channel. My bad. Let me go back. Let me push the rewind button. He already had a belt. I'm tripping. Brian Norman already had a belt. I'm tripping, y'all. I'm tripping. But that makes it worse, though. They turning down fights like this dude don't got a belt. That's why a lot of people are ducking right now. That's why Devin Haney is getting so much credit. Brian Norman could have already fought Jerron Ennis and Teofimo Lopez. So it sounds like Brian, and I'm gonna tell you something else too. Brian Norman is moving like the way Tank should be moving. Tank should be moving like this. That's why I say it's always gonna be a boxer that come in and replace you. You can be my favorite, you can be my cousin, my best friend. It's gonna be somebody who replace you if you ain't coming in trying to make no moves. The problem y'all got that y'all think y'all got the same problems Terrence Crawford is that y'all can get a runaround on the internet and build something up. Terrence Crawford wasn't trying to build no fights up. That was the other side trying to build up a platform. Terrence Crawford ain't had, and he ain't got no promotion team he trying to be loyal to. That's everybody else doing that. Y'all see that? Terrence Crawford, he loyal to himself at this point. He loyal to his career. And what the work he's put in, he ain't doing no favors. He done did enough favors in boxing. Everybody done already made their name off of him and got their hype off of him. I can't tell you how many fighters have made a name off Terrence Crawford recently. We've had Ryan Garcia, Teofimo Lopez call him out. Jerron Ennis called him out. Who has it? Gervonta Davis said he'll stop Terrence Crawford in 7 rounds. I mean, who hasn't called out Terrence Crawford for a fight except Jermell Charlo recently? After he signed recently, Charlo was like, yeah, I'll fight him. Something like that. It's like, man, time passed, bro. Dude said he wouldn't even fight you after that Canelo fight. Time done passed already. So it's really payday. That's what time it is. It's time to pay up because it's a lot of these guys. They have other guys around their division that's, what's up, PD? What's going on? Yeah, he could have fought a few names by now, John. I'm like, bro, what you doing? You gave Stanionis the deal that Norman was looking for. That's why when everybody was talking about deals and boots and everything, I stopped immediately. I had stopped before that, but I really stopped then. Because I'm like, people don't even know that he gave Stanionis more money. Stanionis made more money than Boots. And Stanionis was begging for a payday. And Stanionis ain't got no resume. And he looked trash the last fight before he fought Boots, but nobody noticed that because they weren't checking for Stanionis like that. But he actually looked bad in his fight before that. But they wasn't really checking for Stanionis that much, so people didn't understand that. But they said, it's a good fight for Boots. And Stanionis went out there and got stopped. Yeah, he chasing greatness, bro. Chasing it all the way. Shout out to PD, man. What's going on, dog? Yeah, I don't know where that's. I don't know. That's always been something in America. I've been every state in America. You can go to Iowa and they get with it out there. That just sounds like people who ain't never been outside their neighborhood. But every state in America is with it. You can go to Wyoming, they with it out there. They probably got more gun stores in North Dakota than they do in any other state in America. So they get with it out there. So people be like, yeah, where you from? That matters in boxing, man. Who cares? Do anybody ask where Manny Pacquiao from? I ain't heard nobody say, man, Manny Pacquiao from the Philippines. He ain't with it like that. Them guys ain't tough in the Philippines. So yeah, that's just fluff. Two fights ago, man. That's the thing about it. But my thing is, what I don't like is I'm starting to see it now. That's why people don't really like me like that. And I don't really care. But the reason why they don't really like me like that is because they know I'm not finna go for them narratives, bro. I'm not finna go for everybody ducking Boots. They know I'm not finna go for everybody ducking Tank. They just know I'm not finna go for it. That's why a lot of people really don't be rocking with what I gotta say. They're like, oh man, he think he know everything. Bruh, what? I think I know everything? Okay. See if that helps Tank and Jerron Ennis over the next 12 months. Think, okay, I've been actually helping dudes because I'm like, hey, why are you? I ain't make 1,000 videos saying, hey, he pays Stanionis more. I just put it out there like, bro, he pays Stanionis more? Wow. I didn't know my dog would do me like that. That's crazy. And that's another American fighter too. Why would you not want to give your brother a payday? What's up with that? Why brothers don't want to give brothers paydays these days? You gotta embarrass, you gotta take a man through a humiliation ritual before you get him payday? Talk about how much he ducking. Come on, man. That new style of people rolling out fights. Somebody got to be a duck for the fight to get made. Man, please. The day's over with. Haney ain't ducking and Brian Norman ain't ducking. And that's the biggest one of the, outside of Canelo and Crawford, that's the biggest fight in boxing right now. And that fight took 2 minutes to make. And Haney had Norman on his list. I heard a lot of people saying, "Oh, Haney was forced to fight Norman." He had Brian Norman on his list before Brian Norman knocked out Suzuki. So unlike Devin Haney, he actually knows that Brian Norman is one of the best. So he's available between those 140, 147 weight classes. So he's actually a better. I could trust his judgment when it comes to talent. If Devin Haney said, "Hey, this guy's pretty good," I can believe him because he's not a hater. These guys sitting up here saying Brian Norman is trash, so they can win some negotiation arguments is disgusting. Talking about he was getting dropped at sparring and all this stuff. None of that matters right now. You did all that for what? Exactly. At least talk about what happened though. Now these dudes be lying. It don't be about opinions, PD. These dudes be lying. These guys be lying. These guys are out here lying. When they sat up here and said Brian Norman was trash, he can't box. The dude went out there and knocked out Centillion, and he knocked out Suzuki. Now we just seen guys fight journeyman and can't knock them out like that. But this is a guy they said that's trash. That's their opinion, but that was a lie. That guy's not trash. You seen this guy sparring against Boots, and you saying he's trash? Their opinions is why boxing is where we at right now. You can have opinions in boxing, but these dudes been lying, bro. That's the thing about it. People try to push, oh, let me push a narrative as an opinion. Nah, bro, you lying. Like, we can Google this right now. This ain't 1985. We have Google. You have Siri. You have AI. We got all kind of technology going on. And dudes want to get their information through a prayer. That's where it's like, bruh, y'all tripping. Like, y'all really tripping. And if you look at every headline in boxing and narrative, it comes from an opinion, like the snack stuff. I ain't even know till recently it said Bam Rodriguez on snack. This Bam Rodriguez on snack? I'm like, wow. It just be the narratives, bro. The narratives had destroyed the sport of boxing. That's why Dana White, in January, Dana White will be, from what I'm hearing right now, Dana White will be doing fights in January. He's been trying to get in the sport of boxing since 2017 or 18. Right now, the opinions are that he's not gonna be able to pay fighters and stuff like that. They're not paying fighters in boxing right now. They want guys right now. They paying guys more money than what guys who fought Terrence Crawford got paid. Stanionis got what, 2 million to fight Boots? I don't know no guys who's making that much money to fight Terrence Crawford at all. I think Frank Martin got close to that fighting Tank. So when they say guys is asking for too much money, and bro, I'm telling you, stuff's starting to catch up to them. Stuff starting to catch up to them. Like they really got the boxing game messed up, bro. The sad part about it, people still don't know what's going on right now. Like I told everybody today, Tank going to 147. And so I was saying the last 4 days, hey, I think Tank going to 147. I seen an article on ESPN this morning. They talking about fighters who need to go to the next weight class. They got Canelo needs to go to 175. Why would they say Canelo needs to go to 175? Why would they drop this article about Canelo needs to go to 175 a couple of weeks before he's fighting Terrence Crawford? Because they know. And then another thing too, I was saying before PD come in. Shout out my dog PD. Canelo's 171. He was 171 against Lara. You won't see this topic on no other boxing channels for the next 50 years. Canelo's weight was 171 versus Lara. In 2014, this man's weight was 171. You don't see everybody out here says, you got people that'll say right now, oh, I know more about Canelo than you do. Have you seen any of these guys who talking about snack? Anything? Have you seen them talking about this weight right here? This 171 in 2014? This is the reason why everybody say Canelo too big for Crawford. See, they use their opinions to lean towards their favorite fighter. Oh, I think Canelo's. Didn't they say that Canelo was smaller than Triple G? How the hell are you smaller than Triple G? And you fighting 171 against Lara in 2014. You didn't fight Triple G till 2017, 2018. I think 2018 you fought Triple G. Yeah, Frank was in talks with Arnold Barbosa. It sounded like it fell through because Barbosa talking about cattle raw right now. Yeah, Frank's still in the mix. You know, PBC guy, they just had Gary Russell come back. You know how PBC do. PBC. But everybody want to see, all of a sudden, everybody want to see, here go another opinion they got out there. Everybody want to see Gary Russell now. They want to see Gary Russell versus Lamont Roach. Gary Russell ain't good. People don't know. Gary Russell called out Pitbull about 3 or 4 years ago. Shakur Stevenson. I think he even called out Lamont Roach in the past. All the 130s that was champions. Which was Lamont Roach at the time. Tank Davis. He was trying to fight Haney. All those guys. But then you got Tank fans that come out now. Hey man, what about Gary Russell and Roach? They be blocking. Yeah, that's proof right there. I'm gonna tell y'all right now. A fighter just went 12 rounds with Tank and got a draw. So if anybody else would have did that, let's just say if when Tyson Fury had a draw with Wilder, they said Tyson Fury is better than Wilder, or he's on the same level as a Wilder, and he got dropped twice. So I already know what the play is. But that just goes to show that if you go in the ring with Tank Davis and go 12 rounds and have a draw, you're not finna get no credit. So you might as well, if you're a black fighter, you might as well go fight somebody else. You'll get more credit fighting Devin Haney or something, and you'll get more fights after that. Look at Regis Program. He still got fights. He get more fights after fighting Devin Haney. So fighting Devin Haney do more for your career, just cheated and everything, and got a title fight after that. Now, losing or winning will do more for your career than fighting Tank Davis. If you fight Tank Davis, the opinions of Tank Davis fans will destroy your career. Lamont Roach right now is getting a lot of hype, which he deserves, but they're starting to turn that into negativity because he went 12 rounds and had a draw with Tank Davis. Why Tank Davis ain't getting criticized for going 12 rounds and having a draw with a 130? Why the guy who came up and challenged himself getting criticized? Do y'all realize that? The fighter who came from 130, who put his reputation on the line and everything else to fight Tank Davis, he's the guy getting criticized. People talking about Crawford's too small for Canelo. That's not an opinion. They know it's a fact because they know that Canelo weighed in at 171. $171. So this man is actually a weight bully. Yeah, we'll clean this up soon in boxing, man. It's gonna be a wrap. It ain't no more facts going on, bro. I'm gonna tell y'all. I'm gonna be real with y'all. Everything that go on these days is opinions. The last 10, 15 years in boxing, everything that's been talked about is an opinion. That's why don't nobody know what's going on. That's why somebody like me would have to report something from 10 years ago to let people know, hey, this is the facts. That's the dangerous thing about a podcast, bro. You can just throw anything out there. And if you cool with the dude, he like, I don't care if you lie. If a boxer, if a podcaster comes on here and lies for a boxer, we've seen that happen before, right? We ain't never seen the boxer. If it sounds good or it favors the boxer, you don't never hear the boxer come out and say, man, that dude lying, man. That fight ain't real. Now, if it make him look bad, what he gonna say? Man, dudes need to stop posting stuff like that. I ain't gonna never have that problem, but because I know how far I can go with it, and I'm speaking facts though. If I was speaking opinions over here, they would have called me out a long time ago. But that's kind of what that's what put people in kind of a bad situation. They don't want to go with the facts. Once you have 30 fights like a Jerron Ennis, they say you got 30 fights. Once you have 30 fights, the facts need to start coming out. The only time you should have an opinion is a prospect. Once the guy get past a prospect, you know what time it is. But that's where the problem is coming from, though. Because every time somebody come to me like, hey, so-and-so did, so-and-so this. Y'all remember a couple of weeks ago, I was talking about Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul? Nobody was talking about it, right? I said, why they talking about Joshua versus Wilder versus Jake Paul when they can do Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul? What they doing now? But yeah, I gotta get up out of here though. I gotta head out. But I appreciate everybody for coming through though, man. Appreciate my dog PD for falling through, man. I'm gonna see you later on, dog. Appreciate it.